Join us.
They used to call me Crazy Joe, but now they can call me Batman.
What up? Welcome back to the Necro Zoo. I am Bones. And in this one, let's go ahead and add one more figure to my McFarlane DC Multiverse collection. Now this time it is going to be Superwoman from the Starro wave. Now I have really been anticipating this figure. Although I don't really care when female figures are released, I always do end up buying multiples of the female figures because I always do enjoy them. Now Superwoman is part of the crime syndicate. Her backstory is a little bit muddled, but she don't take no crap and she does look pretty powerful in the packaging. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at her. But first, she does come with your standard black DC Multiverse stand. Now these are not needed, but sometimes they come in useful. She also comes with her data file card. On the front, you do have some figure photography, a little bit rendered. And on the back, you do have some information. Now, Superwoman has always been a big part of the crime syndicate mythos. Love me a strong woman, love me a thick woman, and this is a figure that I've really been looking forward to taking a look at. She also does come with a big old piece of Starro. Now this is probably the biggest piece that we've received. It does have a lot of cool sculpting work. Kind of a mouth reminiscent of the Sarlacc there. It does have a bendy wire, and you could see where it connects to all the other parts of the Starro. Pretty gnarly. Gonna put this together later. She also does come with a different type of parasite. I think the main difference might be that the way the eyes are painted in, but they do have their tentacles, and in the back it does have a disgusting mouth and a lot of suckers. Now let's go ahead and take a closer look at her. Now, it was really hard for me to finally get this figure. I know a lot of people found her way before I did, but I have already bought two of her, and I'm planning on buying a third. So for all you worms out there, or you farmers that always complain about female figures, you better buy multiples to help push the numbers and get us some more female figures out there. Now, first impressions, man. Not disappointing at all. She is pretty good looking. Love that little smirk that she has on her face. Kind of reminds me of me when you just don't really give a crap. Really, really cute head sculpt. I'm just seeing it in hand and up close and personal. It looks really good. Love the hair, little shortcut, and then really love the texture of her suit. Has like a nice leather grain. All in all, she's pretty impressive right out the box. Let's go ahead and take a closer look at the head sculpt. Like I said before, really beautiful example of a female. She looks hot. Definitely worth the wait to finally have her in my collection. Definitely a good looking woman. And I'm really happy to add her to the collection. Let's take a look at the articulation. Now, she cannot look up at all due to the back of her hair and probably her neck peg hole. She could barely look down, even, minimal. Even her head articulation seems a little stiff, but you can turn her to the right and to the left. And you can't even really cock her head for some attitude. I mean, slightly. So what we might do before this is over is I'm going to mod her head. That way we could get a little bit more character out of her. moving down into her suit. Love that S emblem up here at the top. The dull gray doesn't really do it for me, but you know me, I'm gonna always end up hitting it with some really high metallic silver, and also her gauntlets, which are a big part of her costume. But yeah, loving the bigness of her costume front and the minimalist of the costume in the back. Looks really good, but she definitely looks good in her costume. Taking a look at the waist articulation, she has side to side a little bit stiff, and I would say that this is because the way her costume is designed. It's more of a whole piece. There's no cut up here, but she has side to side nonetheless. She has the full range of motion at her waist. Bottom waist swivel, but of course no top chest swivel. But that's all good. You can twist her to put her in some cool poses. No forward crunch to speak of. Very minimal, but she does lean back really well for flying poses. So that is all due to the restrictions from her costume. I'm good with it. Let's check out her arms. She does have the butterfly shoulder joint and a lot of nice cuts in her upper shoulder area, because it has up and down and front to back, and it even has some cutouts where you could get her arm more extended in front of her body. Probably cool for crossing her arms or putting them together. So the range there is really nice. She does have a bicep swivel. It is kind of tight, but it is there. Double jointed elbows. The bowl doesn't look too bad. Let's go down from the shoulder to her gauntlet. Just a clean, smooth sculpt into her hands. Love that fist. She does have articulation there. And on the other side, something I do not like is the trigger finger hand. Just do not like it. You can fix this. I will show it at the end, but not something I really like. But you never know. You could have her holding some kind of weapon, but there would be no need to, because she is really powerful. She can get into a T pose, even into a nice Y pose. And her arms do move up, straight up above her head. Pretty nice articulation. The shoulders are really nice on this figure. Going down, she has her crotch piece that is soft, allowing for a lot of movement. She can kick up really high, and she can kick back really high as well. This is allowed by the rubber in the trunks part of her costume, and when you put it back, it just goes back to the same shape. Now let's check out her hip movement. She does have that sweet hip rotation. It's just a little bit restricted due to her skirt. Double jointed knees, not the prettiest. Straighten them out. Down at the ankle you have up, down, right to left, rocker, and toe articulation. Let's take a minute to look at her leg sculpt. Really love the muscle definition that she has in her legs, and even like a really nice scar, which does not de-beautify her at all. It actually makes her more attractive to me. Love that big leg scar move down. She has these like kind of Romanesque straps, sandals, which look good on her. Looping around her shins down into her feet. Really nice. Now, it's always hard to get clean sculpts when you're using skin. I've noticed that. Like arms and legs that are just skin. It's really hard to make it look clean. I'm sure they will innovate more in the future. And for right now, she still looks really, really hot. So I love the back where they have this like cool leather strapping that the loops are connected to. Looks really good. And let's go ahead and take a look underneath. Now she does have no tread and no identifying marks. Moving up, we got to move the skirt. I would just say be careful because it is connected right around her hips, and you do not want to pull this because it'll actually pull away from the trunks part. So let's just be delicate with her. But nice leg sculpt. I love, like I said before, I love the straps in the back of the calves. And then moving up to the bootay, there it is underneath. Don't look at it too long. Now the butt is covered by her dress, and it's a really nice texture on there, like leather, and then sculpt it out. You have a nice seam line down the middle. And then let's move up to her back. Oh, beautiful back tone there, muscle tone. Light dusting of paint just to give her some definition, but I really love the back sculpt on her. Just really beautiful. You got the back of her hair there that makes her so stiff, and they did use a lot of blue on her hair. We might want to tone that down because it looks a little bit plasticky. So all in all, really happy to add her to the collection. She did not disappoint. Really beautiful figure. Of course, there's things that could be done better, but there is things that are completely awesome about her. Now let's go ahead and do some changes. First of all, let's do the head. I did pop off her head and then bore out her peg hole in the neck to give her some more dexterity in her head movement. And then I did soften up the back of the hair and just shave out a little bit between her neck and the hair. And what do you know? She can look up really well now. Gives her a little bit more character and presence. She can look down easier as well. And you can actually rock her head and tilt her head and give her a lot more attitude and character. It gives her head a lot more dexterity. And like I said, she can look up way more. And this allows for more options like flight poses and stuff like that. But really love the attitude it gives her to be able to look up. Now the second thing I didn't like was the trigger hand. Now you could fix this two ways. You can glue the one finger to the other fingers and it gives her more of like a C-clamp hand or just like a grasping hand instead of that trigger finger sticking out. And this is fine for most poses. I mean, you could now put her hand just to the side and you can't really see that trigger finger popping you right in the face. But you can also make her a custom fist like I did. I did get this fist from my box of 100 fists, and then it was the one that fit her size the best. I bored it out because originally this was actually a peg fist. So I cut off the peg, bored it out, and now it does slip into her hand. And I just love the double fist look for her. It looks really good. I did have to repaint it as well to give it a little bit more matching tone. But for my purposes for right now, it's really nice to have that option. Pretty cool. And before we go, let's go ahead and bring out the old school DC Universe Classics Superwoman. Now putting them together, it's really no contest. You could just see how far we have come in action figures. This old DC Universe Classics figure was good in its time, but compared to this beauty, she just does not hold any water against her. This new figure is just by far superior. But it's always nice to have the original in my collection. Now, before we go, let's put her up next to some other figures. Let's put her up next to my custom Last Night on Earth Wonder Woman, holding the Dr. Fate helmet. Let's go ahead and put her up next to my custom The Drowned with her bedazzled trident. And for good measure, let's go ahead and bring out her teammates, which is Ultraman and Owlman, with his custom Owlorang that I gave him. But they actually look really good together. I'm really anticipating the fourth figure will be able to finish up the Starro. And I'm almost 100% sure it's going to be the Lantern of this team. But they could also go with other character choices in the current iteration of the Crime Syndicate. Now she does look really good with her counterparts. Love having me some females in the collection. She's really, really good looking and not a disappointment in the least. Well worth the wait. You guys keep hunting out there, keep collecting, keep customizing, and I will see you on the next one.